Hi, hello, good evening. I'm back with you on Sports Today live soon after the third day's play of the one-off test between England women and India women was called off early due to rain. Well, that's the second rain in rain-forced storms, or what you might want to call it, from England. Southampton, of course, earlier in the evening in Southampton, the first day of the World Test Championship final between India and New Zealand was called off without a ball being bowled. And in Bristol, though, the rain interruption wouldn't disappoint Indian fans that much. It would be probably more heartbreaking or more depressing for English fans who were really expecting their team to push for a victory against India women. Remember, England had declared after scoring 396 for 9. India women were comfortably placed at 167 for no loss at one stage, thanks to Smriti Mandana and debutant uh, Shafali Verma, who made 96. But from 167 for no loss in India, women collapsed to 231 for 231 all out. They were asked to follow on. They lost Smriti Mandhana early, but Shafali Verma, goodness, that girl has had a tremendous debut. She scored another half century, becoming only the fourth women's cricketer to hit four centuries. So, beg your pardon, to hit 250s on debut, and only the third Indian woman to hit 250s in a single test match. That's where Shifali Verma, only 17, mind you, has joined an elite list. So here it goes. I'll quickly go through the stats where Shafali Verma uh, is now in the league of Leslie Cook, who scored 72 and 117 for England versus India, of course, in Weatherby 1986. Vanessa Bowen, who scored 78 and 63 for Sri Lanka versus Pakistan and Colombo back in 1998. Jess Jonathan, 99. She got out on debut for 99, and she came back to score 59 for Australia versus England in Canterbury in 2015. And Shafali Verma, who was unfortunate to miss out on her debut 100 yesterday, falling short by 4 runs, is now unbeaten on 55 for India versus England at Bristol. It's been a terrific debut, right? And she's also now the third Indian woman to score 250s in a single Test match. Of course, Sandhya Agarwal scored 134 and 83 versus Australia in Mumbai back in 1984. Gargi Banerjee scored 60 and 75 also versus England at Blackpool in 1986. And all these years later, Shafali Verma has scored 96 and is still batting on 55 versus England in Bristol. So that's about Shafali Verma. She, like I mentioned in one of my earlier shows, she wasn't very perturbed after missing out on a century. She said her father, her teammates, her coaches, her family would be more gutted, more depressed after she fell short of that iconic 100 that we all thought she deserved. It was such a heartbreaking moment for all of us. But she's looking primed again. It was abandoned. Now the thing is, now what's happening tomorrow? Tomorrow is of course the final day of this test match. It's a 4-day test match, so 108 overs are scheduled to be bowled on the final day. And we understand this. The forecast in Bristol is much better, and there should be a lot more play available. But of course, like I said earlier, when I started this broadcast, England would be more dejected with rain in Bristol tonight. They were really looking to push forward, and they had taken complete control of the game. But for Shafali Verma, she's again led that charge for the Indians. England would, of course, want to get rid of her very, very early. There is also the fact is that when the inspection happened in Bristol, it wasn't looking very good. It was cloudy, it was overcast, it was dark, it was very windy, and it did not quite look like play would start once it had started raining there, and conditions wouldn't allow for play to resume after that rain interruption. So that's in a way, you could say that the rain gods have come to are now siding with the Indian women there, whose batting performances Apart from Shafali Verma's Priti Mandan in the first innings, that was really disappointing. And of course, in the second innings again, Shafali Verma leading the charge for the Indians. Sachin Chaudhary, good evening to you. Um, I think India women's versus England women's test will end in a draw. Could be. But India still will have to bat well because remember the forecast for tomorrow is a lot better. 108 overs are scheduled to be bowled tomorrow to make up for the lost time. Um, it depends on how Shafali Verma bats. There is, of course, Mithali Raj, Harmanpreet Kaur. There is enough experience in that lineup. It's just that they need to really pull up their socks and bat much better in the second innings on the final day. This is a very crucial juncture of the game. Uh, Bala saying Shafali reminds me of Vidu. Yes, she does. That style that she's molded her batting on Virender Sehwag's aggressive style. Of course, there are comparisons being drawn already, but those comparisons are not fair. Virender Sehwag played so many Test matches. He's a legend of the game of the format. Shafali Verma, 17 years old, but yes, you'd say that she has that panache. She has that presence at the crease. She likes to go for her shots. 11 boundaries, if I'm not mistaken, in that unbeaten 55 of 68 balls, and that is a great counter-attacking innings. Especially if you look at India's condition in this Test match after being bowled out for 231. England had a massive lead. They enforced the follow-on, but Shafali Verma came out all guns blazing once again. So yes, that would remind you of Virender Sehwag because Sehwag also he just brought that oomph factor in his game, irrespective of conditions, irrespective of what was in front of him. He just go for his shots, and more often than not, he was so successful. Right? He's just absolutely. Shefali is just absolutely brilliant, and what a start! What a start to her Test career. It still intrigues you to realize that she wasn't part of that ODI squad versus South Africa. Um, Somebody somewhere will have to answer some questions. That's just I can't wrap my mind around it. Shefali Verma not part of that India ODI side versus South Africa. Well, it's as it's just as good then that she's got her chances now. She's grabbed her opportunities with both hands. Uh, Time to wrap up, but before I go, just want to remind you about Shifali Verma's dream test debut. She's become only the fourth women's cricketer to hit two half centuries on debut, two fifties on debut. Um, she got out for 96 in the first innings. Who knows? Maybe she'll go and get that 100 in the second innings and help India save this Test match. Now, of course, she's also only the third Indian player to score two half centuries in the same Test match. So that's Shafali Verma for you. Dream debut, absolutely brilliant, and she could well be the trump card for India to save this one-off Test match and walk out with a draw. Well, that's that for the women's test match. Of course, we've updated you on the Euro games that are being played tonight. There's of course the World Test Championship final, which will hopefully we'll get more play. The forecast is better. The reserve days obviously automatically come into play now, with the first day being washed out. So you have some time to get through. Uh, Hopefully, we'll see some action tomorrow and plenty of action. There's some forecast for late in the afternoon England time, so we're expecting an early. We are expecting play to start at normal time. Meanwhile, I told you about the two European games or two European Championship games scheduled for later tonight. Of course, Sweden had beaten Slovakia earlier in the evening. Croatia currently uh, playing the Czech Republic. Czech Republic have taken a 1-0 lead, and later in the evening, England will take on Scotland. That's 12:30 a.m. India time. Well, that's that. We'll be back with more updates and analysis at 10 in the morning to summarize these European Championship games for you. And later, after that, we'll start our build up to the WTC final between India and New Zealand. Thank you so much for joining me on this broadcast, on this live broadcast, and stay tuned to Sports Today for all the action from around the world of sports. And please, to subscribe to the channel and spread the word. And please do not forget to press that bell icon for notification of all our videos. Thank you. Have a good evening.